Hostile detected. Additional hostile contacts. Incoming hostiles detected.
If you guys are interested in being a member, then click the join button down below to check out the available perks. The first tier is only $1. Thank you to those of you who choose to join. What's up mod squad, welcome to another Division 2 build breakdown video. Before we get into the video, if you're already subscribed to me, then don't forget to smash that like button, as it really helps push our videos into the recommended section, which in turn helps the channel grow. Interaction is a big part of what helps us in the YouTube algorithm, and the extra support is very much appreciated. In today's video, I'll showcase one of the best solo DPS builds in the Division 2 for solo PVE. This build is all about efficiency and will allow you to one-shot your way through heroic control points in 2 to 3 minutes or less with ease. Along with the Regulus Headhunter build, this is one of my favourite builds to use for speedrunning heroic content, whether that's control points, bounties, open world patrols or the summit. This is one of the most simple and basic builds to make and offers an insane amount of damage, utility and survivability. Just off one kill alone, you're looking at 30% armor on kill, 10% bonus armor on kill, which you can stack, 100% health on kill, status effect on kill, 5% rate of fire on kill, and 20% weapon damage on kill. Also, if you pay close attention to the gameplay, you'd have noticed the lack of reloading. Reloading is the major downside when it comes to using a shotgun, but with this build it is not an issue. This is thanks to the pummel talent. 3 consecutive kills refills the magazine and grants plus 40% weapon damage for 10 seconds. So since we're consistently one-shotting enemies, the pummel talent synchronizes very well with this build and allows us to continuously chain kills. This build also has a total of 242% weapon damage and 150% plus headshot damage. Now because we are spec so heavily into headshot damage, that obviously means this build lacks in crit. But you can gain crit chance and crit damage if you stack the perfect vindictive and the perfect finisher talent to gain a total of 53% crit chance and 58% critical hit damage. As you can see via the gameplay, we have plenty of damage and we don't lack in the survivability department either. We even have 3% armor regen for the passive healing over time thanks to the Memento backpack. This hands down is one of the best DPS builds to farm XP or heroic content in Division 2. It's also a super easy build to farm for because it's a gear set, so that's one less minor attribute you have to worry about when rerolling pieces. Also, in my opinion, Hunter's Fury is one of the best weapon based gear sets in the game and is an amazing set to use for new, casual or veteran players. Today's build will require an aggressive playstyle to keep the stacks active, as you can see, so the more you kill, the more damage you do and the more survivability you earn. If you have any questions, then leave them down in the comment section below and I'll reply like I always do. And if you haven't already, don't forget to smash that like button, as we have that 500 like goal here on the channel. Share this video around on all your social media to help other agents. Now we spoke a little bit about the build and I'll showcase some of what it's capable of. Let's get into a quick build breakdown before ending this video with some more insane gameplay. Right guys, starting off with the specialization, I'm here using the gunner. Reason being is it adds a lot of utility and DPS to the build. As you can see, killing enemies grants 10% armor, every third reload is 50% faster, armor kits repair 100% armor and grant 30% bonus armor for 10 seconds, and who doesn't love extra bonus armor? We also gain the riot foam grenade, which will class as a status effect that will help you proc your vindictive talent. Each specialization comes with its own skill variant, and we have the Banshee Pulse, which is my favourite, especially for run and gun builds like this. With the specialization, you also generate 10% of total ammo capacity every 60 seconds, and party members recover 5%. Rate of fire is increased by 5% on kill for 5 seconds. Adding a little bit more DPS is always going to be a good thing. And finally, 10% weapon handling while not moving, need to be motionless for 1 second. And that is pretty much it for the specialization guys, so with that said, let's get into the build. Right guys, starting off with the primary weapon is the military M870, 1.7 million damage, 75 RPM with 5 in the magazine. That RPM will get boosted thanks to the gunner specialization. We have 15% shotgun damage, 11% damage to armor and 10% damage to target's outer cover. Don't forget guys, that is multiplicative damage. Looking at the talent now, as you can see we have the pummel talent, 3 consecutive kills refills the magazine and grants plus 40% weapon damage for 10 seconds. Looking at the attachments on this weapon, we have 3% headshot damage on the scope, 10% accuracy on the grip, and we have 5% headshot damage on the magazine. These attachments help us reach that 150% headshot damage so we can use the Headhunter talent. Now getting into the build pieces themselves, as you can see we have the Hunter's Fury mask. Looking at the attributes on this mask, we have 50% weapon damage, 10% headshot damage, and 9.8% headshot damage via a mod. Moving on to the chest piece, we have the named Chain Killer chest piece. It gives us 5% weapon damage as it's a Walker and Harris piece. We have 10% headshot damage, 6% critical hit chance, and 9.8% headshot damage via a mod. Then we have the perfect headhunter talent. After killing an enemy with a headshot, your next weapon hit within 30 seconds deals an additional 150% of the killing blow's damage. Damage is capped at 800% of your weapon damage. This is raised to 1250% if your headshot damage is greater than 150%, which it is. Moving on to our Hunter's Fury holster, 15% weapon damage and 9.5% headshot damage. Onto the knee pads, we have 12.8% weapon damage and 10% headshot damage. Our Hunter's Fury gloves also have 8.4% damage and 10% headshot damage. So this build isn't maxed out, guys, and it is still absolutely destroying everything. Moving on to the backpack, we have the Memento. You do not have to use this. You could go for all out damage and use Badger Tough to gain extra shotgun damage and use the Vigilance talent. We have 15% weapon damage, 170k armor, 1 extra skill tier, and 10% headshot damage via a mod. And here is the kill confirmed talent. This is still to me the best exotic in the game. Moving on to the skills now, guys, I'm using a shield. Yes, the shield is still viable. If you don't want to use the shield, I'd suggest using the decoy or the striker drone because they both play a good distraction, which will draw their attention away from you, allowing you to run and gun. But I do find it's nice to have the shield because it does come in clutch if you get caught out in the open. Looking at the mods on the shield, we have 4.9% shield health, 4.6% shield health, and then 5% damage bonus, which doesn't apply because we're not using the firewall specialization. Moving on to our second skill is the Banshee Pulse. This skill is one of my top 2 favorites. It's between the Banshee Pulse and the Striker Drone. Striker Drone is a great distraction to NPCs, and the Banshee Pulse is just amazing for stunning all your enemies and allowing you that time to either backtrack or just demolish them all. Looking at the attachments on this, we have 6.5% cone size, and then we have 15% effect duration. And that is pretty much it for the build, guys. I'm going to leave you with a stat sheet. As I said earlier, 60% crit chance, and you can gain extra crit chance from the Vindictive and Finisher talent if you can get into the habit of stacking them. We have 152.1% headshot damage, 11% armor damage. We have damage to targets out of cover as well. So this build is packed full of damage. It's all about getting the playstyle down. Once you do that, you'll be one-shotting your way through everything. If you haven't already, guys, don't forget to smash that like button. Your boy is back making videos. Let's hit that 500 like goal here on the channel. Please share this video on all social medias. Don't forget to comment any questions below and I'll reply like I always do. And with that said, I'll catch you guys in the next one. If you guys are interested in being a member, then click the join button down below to check out the available perks. The first tier is only $1. Thank you to those of you who choose to join. What's up, Mod Squad? Welcome to another Division 2 build breakdown video. Before we get into the video, if you're already subscribed to me, then don't forget to smash that like button, as it really helps push our videos into the recommended section, which in turn helps the channel grow. Interaction is a big part of what helps us in YouTube algorithm, and the extra support is very much appreciated. In today's video, we'll be looking at the best solo run and gun build in the game for speed farming SHD levels and XP. This is a build I alluded to in my previous video, and I'd highly recommend this build for new and returning players, and it's one of my go-to builds for speed farming global events and seasonal war tracks. Now, with TU20 bringing a 25% weapon damage buff to the Model M700 marksman rifle, we are now able to spec more into survivability, coming in the form of blue cores. Why blue cores, you ask? Well, this build uses the best solo player piece of gear in the game, the exotic Memento backpack. This means the more blue cores we have, the more bonus armor we're gonna gain every time we pick up a trophy, and this will allow us to hit 2 million plus armor with ease. This build is much like the M870 Headhunter Hunter's Fury build, but even more overpowered. And I say this because not only do you not have to consistently hit headshots to get one-shot kills, but you can one-shot both up close and at range to the body, making this build easier to use and not forcing you into an overall aggressive playstyle. So today's build will allow you to run and gun, but also sit back if need be. And unlike Hunter's Fury, you won't have to worry about losing your damage stacks, as they are not time gated with the gear set we are using. You also don't need to depend on a shield because of the amount of armor we're able to stack. Plus, you can't really use a shield with a marksman rifle anyway, so trying to use one will just make things feel really awkward. This is a headhunter build, so you will need 150% headshot damage, and I recommend initiating with red or purple NPCs first, as they always get one shot without the headhunter talent active. One trick I learned is using the specialization sniper, the TAC 50 is best to initiate with, as it has a much higher base damage than the M700. 2.3 million base damage compared to the M700's 1.2. Both of these will also have a higher base damage when you have max memento stacks. Now once you've got that headshot and your headhunter talent is activated, switch to your M700, and from there it's just a matter of hitting your shots to keep the HOTSHOT gear set buffs active. Also guys, before I forget to mention, the HOTSHOT gear set also allows you to stack bonus armor, so you won't only be gaining bonus armor from the exotic memento backpack. This is a build that is easy to farm for and put together, and gets public X's and territory controls done in less than a minute. Control points in 3 if you're knowledgeable of spawn points, and it's just a lot of fun to use. Because who doesn't like one-shotting everything up close and at a distance? Now we have spoken a little bit about the build and I showcased some of what it's capable of, let's get into a quick build breakdown. Right guys, covering the specialization real quick, there are quite a few perks to using this specialization when it comes to sniper builds. One is the armor kit, repairs 100% armor, removes status effects and increases resistance to bleed, poison and burn for 20 seconds. The next reason is 15% increased weapon stability, reduced recoil and faster reacquisition of targets, so when you aim in your cursor will close really quick. We also gain 15% increased headshot damage with rifles and marksman rifles, allows for precision kills. And this is pretty nice to have. After 20 seconds in cover, you start generating 5 marksman and 5 rifle ammo every 10 seconds. So you can also run pistolero without having to worry. Another good thing about this specialization is killing enemies with headshots adds 2 to the ammo bar except for signature weapons. And that is pretty much it for the specialization guys, so with that said, let's move into the build breakdown. Right guys, starting off with our primary weapon, we have the model M700, 1.2 million total damage, 54 RPM and 7 in the magazine. The talent we are using of course is the determined talent. Whether it's broken, in your opinion, I don't know. They don't seem to be changing it, so it seems like they're going to leave it as it is. After killing an enemy with a headshot, the next headshot landed on an enemy will be a guaranteed headshot. Now looking at the attachments guys, we have 10% accuracy on the sight, 10% accuracy on the suppressor, and the magazine gives us 5% weapon damage. Now the reason I chose accuracy on the sight and on the muzzle is because that allows the cursor to close up quicker. Moving on to the gear pieces now, starting off with our mask. We have a HOTSHOT mask with 15% weapon damage, 10% headshot damage and 10% headshot damage via a mod. Our chest piece of course is the chain killer chest piece, gives us 5% weapon damage from the Walker Harris. We have 15% weapon damage, 10% headshot damage, 8% weapon handling guys, go for the weapon handling rather than the crit damage. We have 10% headshot damage via a mod and the perfect headhunter talent. Moving on to our holster, now we have that rolled for 170k armor, so max armor and 9.5% headshot damage. Our HOTSHOT knee pads are also rolled for armor, 170k with 10% headshot damage. Our HOTSHOT gloves are 15% weapon damage and 10% headshot damage. And finally we have the exotic memento backpack, 15% weapon damage, 170k armor, 1 skill tier and 10% headshot damage via a mod. Now like I mentioned earlier in the video guys, because the M700 got a buff, that allows us to drop some damage and put it into survivability in the form of blue cores. So now that we have 3 blue cores, we'll be picking up 30% bonus armor every time a trophy drops. And that's going to be stacked on top of the bonus armor we also gain from the HOTSHOT gear set. So hitting 2 million armor plus is really easy to do, and you would have seen that in the gameplay from today's video. When it comes to skills, I'd say go for anything that serves as a distraction. So you're looking at the decoy, we have 7.5% health on there and 7.5% duration. Our second skill of course is the striker drone. I love this skill, I've always used it as a distraction rather than using it for damage. It has a 248.4 second duration period, and that's going to get boosted even more thanks to the memento backpack because you gain that skill efficiency buff. The mods on this are 15% duration, 10% health and then 4.8% damage. Moving on to the stat sheet now, guys. I'm not going to talk all the way through it. As you can see, we have 255.5% headshot damage. So that initial shot is going to hit real hard. Again, don't forget to initiate with the TAC 50. As you can see, it does have a higher base damage of 2.3, and that will be boosted even further when you have max memento stacks. So definitely initiate with a TAC 50, switch to your M700, and then just go on from there. For those of you who don't have the memento backpack, look at my previous video and I'll give you an all out damage version and a bloodsucker version, which will allow you to run and gun, but obviously you will have a damage drop off because it's only a survivability talent. Let me know in the comment section below what you think about this video. Don't forget to smash that like button to help us grow, guys, and help us reach that 500 like goal that we never miss here on the channel. Comment below and I'll reply like I always do, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out, Mob Squad. Before I go any further, I know a lot of you console players will be turned off by this build because it is clearly a headshot build. I'm main console and you can use aim assist to your advantage and gain easy headshots, it just takes a little bit of practice. I also know another turn off for you guys might be the gun that I'm using in the gameplay. That being the Regulus pistol, a weapon you obtain by doing the second raid. Now getting that gun isn't easy, but I can say to you that it is more than worth it. If you haven't got the Regulus and you want to get it, then you need to look for people that do raid carries, as there are communities and content creators out there like GC Rock and Bishop Boas who do them. It's just a matter of reaching out to them. Now for those of you who are just not down for doing the raid in order to get the Regulus, I have some good news. There's a couple of substitutes for the Regulus pistol that you can easily get. That being the high-end D50 or the Exotic Liberty pistol. Both extremely easy to get and both have very high base damage which will allow you to one-shot. You just won't get the epic explosion that can wipe out clusters of NPCs. Now there's a few ways you can run this build, but what really matters is the chest and bag talent, along with having over 150% headshot damage. Currently I'm using the Chain Killer chest piece which has perfect headhunter on it. After killing an enemy with a headshot, your next weapon hit within 30 seconds deals an additional 150% of that killing blow's damage. Damage is capped at 800% of your weapon damage. This is raised to 1250% if your headshot damage is greater than 150%. Hence why I said having over 150% headshot damage was important. This talent is what's going to allow us to one-shot reds, purples and elites. And as you can see, it's very consistent as long as you're chaining your headshots. Now when it comes to the backpack, I have two options you can use, one being a Walker and Harris backpack with the talent Vigilance, which increases total weapon damage by 25%, taking damage disables the buff for 4 seconds. This talent's good because it gives you 25% weapon damage off the bat, and you're rarely going to lose that damage while your shield's up. My reason for the bag being Walker and Harris is because it's going to give you the 2-piece, which is 5% damage to armor. The only thing about using this version is you lack in survivability and have a weaker shield. This is why I run the second and more overpowered option, that being the Exotic Memento backpack, the best piece of gear in a game for solo play. The reason I favour the Memento is because it gives us 60% weapon damage thanks to its short and long term buff. I gain extra survivability in the form of 3% armor regen, so I'm healing behind my shield, and the skill efficiency and skill tier buffs my bulwark shield, making it even tankier, and when paired with the Artificer Hive repairs a good amount of the shield so it rarely ever goes down. Also when pairing it with the Artificer Hive, it doesn't put either of your skills on cooldown when you have all directives on, which makes farming SHD watch levels easier. This build is great for both new and veteran players, and it's simple to make, extremely effective, and is all about DPS and farming efficiency. Now we have gone over the build and I'll showcase a little bit of what it's capable of. Let's get into a quick build breakdown. So starting off with the specialization, we're using the Technician. There are two main reasons we're using it. One is because we get the extra skill tier. This is going to buff not only our shield but the Artificer Hive, which in turn is going to buff our shield again. And secondly, like I just mentioned, the Artificer Hive. This is a skill that you can wear holstered. You don't have to place it down. You just wear it holstered and it is going to help heal your shield. And that is pretty much it for the specialization. Getting into the build breakdown, start off with the primary weapon, which is the Exotic Regulus pistol. You get this from doing the second raid. As you can see, it has a very high base damage of 719.3k. With full memento stacks, that goes up to around 800. We have 160 RPM with 6 in the magazine. This thing does really kick, so I would suggest if you're on console is to aim in, shoot, use that aim assist to your advantage. Looking at the talent, we have headshot kills, create a 5-meter explosion, dealing 400% weapon damage and applying bleed to all enemies hit. Basically, this gun is extremely good for spawn trapping, so if you know the rooms in which NPCs are going to come out of, just sit there and wait and boom, you can wipe them all out. It's what makes running through SHD levels so easy. Looking at the attachments, on the magazine you have 10% reload speed, and on the muzzle you have 20% accuracy. Now if you do not have the Regulus pistol, like I said earlier, two substitutes, the D50 or the Liberty pistol. The D50 is the higher version of the Liberty. It is just as effective. I probably left some gameplay somewhere in the video showing how effective it is with the Liberty. Looking at the attachments on this, you have 5% headshot damage on the sight, you have 5% crit chance on the muzzle, 15% rate of fire on the invisible grip, and the magazine gives you 15% weapon handling. Moving on to gear pieces now, starting off with our mask, we have the Punch Drunk mask, which gives us 20% pistol damage. We have 15% weapon damage, 20% headshot damage, 6% critical hit chance, and 10% headshot damage via a mod. We have the Walker and Harris Chain Killer chest piece, giving us 5% weapon damage. We have 15% weapon damage, 10% headshot damage, 6% crit chance, and 9.2% headshot damage via a mod. And I went over the talent earlier on in the video. If you guys want to pause the video to go over it again, feel free. Moving on to our holster now, we have a Providence Defense holster giving us 15% headshot damage. We have 15% weapon damage, 6% crit chance, and 10% headshot damage. We have the named Foxplayer knee pads giving us 10% rifle damage, 50% weapon damage, 8% damage to targets out of cover, and 10% headshot damage. You can run a rifle this build and you'll one shot just as effectively if you have a high enough base damage rifle. Moving on to our gloves, we have the Contractor gloves giving us 10% LMG damage, which won't apply to this build. We have 15% weapon damage, 8% damage to armor, which is why we are using these gloves, and we have 10% headshot damage. And then finally, the most overpowered piece of gear in the game in my opinion, the Memento backpack. Best thing to use for a solo player, 15% weapon damage, 170k armor, 1 extra skill tier, and then 9.4% headshot damage via a mod. And then you have the kill confirmed talent, guys. Feel free to pause the video to go over this in greater detail. Onto the skills, we have the Bulwark Shield. We have a 4.9% shield health mod here. We have damage bonus here, which doesn't apply. And then we have a 4.6% shield health here. Onto our second skill, which is the Artificial Hive. This is what is going to buff and heal our shield. When it comes to the mods, guys, I'm still pretty clueless to what actually works with this hive. I have still not picked up a single mod that really changes anything to do with this hive. If you guys know any mods that actually work with this hive, let me know in the comment section below. It'd be very much appreciated. Moving on to the stat sheet now, guys, and I'm not going to talk through it, but I will say we have 233.6% headshot damage, and that's just OP. A really great build to speedrun any content in the game. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to smash that like button, as it really helps push our videos into the recommend section and helps us grow. Feel free to drop a comment down below, guys, and I'll reply like I always do, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out, Mob Squad.
Civilians in distress.
See the target! I'm gonna bleed out! Got a clear shot!
Detected.
You wanna see what I can do? I'm reloading. Eat that, agent!